Ooh. I made this. Hi, I'm Beryl, and the theme for today's episode is onions. Onions exist in pretty much everybody's cuisine around the world, so I thought this would be a very fun topic. The artist today is Landis Blair. He's based out of Chicago and describes his art as kind of a morbid pen and ink illustration with a lot of cross-hatching. I am leaving a link to where you can check out his work. The other thing I want to mention is that this video is sponsored by Hamama. Ta-da! My seed quilts, aka my little pops of color. I love you guys. I've been a fan of their products for a very, very long time, so it's always really exciting when they want to work with me. They sell seed quilts and you can grow them anywhere. You do not need to have a green thumb, and you can put the sprouts on pretty much anything. They add a little bit of flavor, they add a lot of pizzazz, and sprouts are really good for you, so it's kind of like a win-win. They have tons of different sprout options, so you can get things like radish sprouts, and they actually are like a little spicy. Those are my favorite. They also have broccoli. They have like a super seed quilt. Tons of really fun options on their site. Everything is compostable. There's no plastic waste, so it's very eco-friendly, and it's pretty foolproof because all you have to do is add water and then boom, sprouts. I'm gonna leave a link in the description, obviously, if you're interested in also having sprouts like me. And with that, let's start the onion episode.
Hi everyone, my name is Nuha. I am from Sudan. Today's dish that I want to share with you is the peanut butter onion salad, and it is as easy as it sounds. It contains of the onions, crunchy peanut butter, lime juice, and salt. And that's pretty much it. Now, most of you are probably wondering, how are we tolerating the burning sensation of the onions? The tricky part here is that once we thinly slice the onions, we're going to put it in a bowl of water with salt, massage it gently for a minute or two, and put it aside for 20 to 30 minutes. In this process, what happens is that all the volatile gases are being released, and at the same time, the onion will soften a little bit. It's actually one of the easiest and simplest dishes that we can do really at any time and anywhere. We can do it for lunch, we can also do it for dinner. You can use it as a topping with your toast, or you can also use it to, let's say, enhance the flavor of different dishes. For example, grilled chicken. You can add the peanut butter onion salad on top of it as a topping in order for you to just like eat it and balance the flavor. It's one of my favorite toppings, or one of my favorite snacks, because it's the perfect combination of crunchy, sweet, and sour at the same time. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you like it as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, we are starting with the Sudanese onion and peanut butter salad, which I'm very curious to try because I love sour foods, and all that lemon juice, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna be into this. I have it on some toast. I love it. This is so surprising to me. I would have never thought to put red onion and peanut butter together. The sourness of the lemon and the kind of creamy fattiness of the peanut butter is a very interesting combo, but the onion kind of cuts it. And the onion almost seems like a little bit quick pickled. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. I think I need a napkin. Okay. Definitely, probably not like the type of food you would want to be eating if you're trying to impress somebody, because definitely a little messy to eat. All like the strings of onion. Maybe if I had chopped the onion, it would have been easier. This is definitely the first time I've ever had anything within the Sudanese culinary universe, and I have to say, very positive first step. If you're like me and you watch a lot of cooking shows and you're like, yeah, but I'm never gonna cook them, you could actually try this and like experience something different super, super easily. And I would highly recommend it, especially if you like sour and if you like kind of like pickled onions. Even if you don't like it, at least you would have tried something, and that in itself is pretty cool. Okay, next dish.
Hi, my name is Marina and I come from Alice Castello, which is a small town in the northwest of Italy, not far from Turin. The recipe I want to share with you is cipolle ripiene. It is made with yellow onions. It looks like big meatballs wrapped with onions. The flavor of the onion blend with the salty of the meat and creates a juicy meatball. And the top is crispy and kind of chewy, but in a good way, because the onion, when baked, have different textures. In these dishes, the onion envelop the meat like a sweet, soft blanket. To me, it tastes like my grandmother's lunches. My grandmother, Laura, used to do this recipe during Sunday lunches. For her recipes were a way to prove her love for us, and she used a lot of meat. You should totally try cipolle ripiene because it is the proof that you can make a great dish with leftovers or with poor ingredients or whatever you have in your fridge. Last time I had cipolle ripiene was last year with my grandmother and my family, so it is a sweet memory. But I'm definitely going to cook them after this video, so thank you so much.
I've got the stuffed onion, and this was interesting to make, for sure. I'm very keen to try it. Whoa. Ooh. Can you see? Like, the meat goes all the way to the bottom. I feel like I did a good job with that. It's very juicy. Wow. Cool. The hardest part about making this dish was figuring out how to core the onion, and then I kind of like got into this groove where it was like you kind of spread it and then like pop out the bottom and then you just kind of like twist it. It makes sense when you're doing it, but it really is like a spread, pop, and twist. My only issue with this, I feel like it needs a little bit of heat. I blame all of these recipes that I've tried now with all of this spice because now I feel like I crave spice in my foods more than I ever used to. That really opened it up, honestly. It was good. Like, this part is all crunchy and crusty because it was on like the exposed meat, and then the meat that's inside the onion. And then the meat that's inside the onion is still like really soft and juicy. All right, just get like a little bit of hot sauce. Eep, oh. The onion, while it has flavor, doesn't have a ton of flavor, or at least this one doesn't. And so I feel like the meat needs to like pop a little bit more to make the dish sing. But I've now found out that I definitely do love a stuffed onion. Okay, next dish.
Hi, I'm Caroline and I'm from Virginia in the United States. The dish that I wanted to talk to you about is Vidalia casserole. It's, as the name suggests, all about Vidalia onions. It's the perfect side dish for potlucks or barbecues or eating a hearty meal in the middle of winter. It's buttery, it is sweet, it is creamy. I have a lot of very fond memories involving Vidalia casserole, and oddly enough, they all involve my grandmother, who introduced me to the dish when I was very young. We would just sit on the counter and eat pimento cheese dip and wheat thin crackers and talk about anything that came to mind. Her church drama, my high school drama, they're some of my fondest memories. A little bit of history about the Vidalia onion. It was discovered in Toombs County in 1930. or thereabouts. It was dubbed the Great Depression cash crop. It was thought to be the root vegetable that would pull Georgia out of its agricultural rut, so to speak. Vidalia onions can now be found internationally almost all year round, and they are being grown in more places than just Vidalia, Georgia. However, there's a little bit of speculation as to whether Vidalia onions that are not grown in Vidalia, Georgia are actually Vidalia onions, or if they're just sweet onions. I love the dish just because it is buttery, it is simple, it is refreshing, it pairs so well with almost anything, and you can really customize it to make it your own just by adding a few things on top or mixing a few different things into the dish. And this dish kind of breaks the stereotype of onions being hearty and savory. This dish shows that they can be sweet, they can be buttery as well, and I think that's one of my favorite things about it.
Okay, this is a Vidalia onion casserole, and I have to say, ooh, boy, it's hot. I really love exploring these regional American casseroles because it's something that I just didn't really grow up with, and it has been fun. I don't even know what this tastes like. It's like a savory egg custard, kind of. I like it, but I'm confused by it. The book is being thrown at me here. There are so many different things happening. It's not like an onion forward dish. It's definitely more egg forward, I feel like. And I like that because I imagine if you're pairing this with like a heartier, fattier meat, this would be like a very nice balance. On its own, it does feel like kind of as if I'm eating onions for dessert. I don't have a problem with that. The Ritz crackers are giving like a nice little crunch, and that crunch is not salty, which is interesting because this dish is definitely not a salty dish. If anything, it's creamy. The onions are really good though. Like, they're buttery and they're super soft and tender, and they feel like flower petals. But like in a good way. I really like this. Like, I really like this, and I really wasn't sure that I was going to, but I did. It works. It works, and it's delicious.
Hi, my name is Miriam. I'm French, and I'm currently living in Auxerre, which is a town in the French region of Burgundy, or Bourgogne in French. The dish I want to share with you today is called pissaladière. So pissaladière is a pie cooked in the oven. It's made with a bread dough kind of crust, a lot of onions that were stewed for almost 2 hours in olive oil, and it's topped with anchovies and black olives. The pissaladière is a dish that goes back to the 14th century. It apparently originated in the north of Italy as some kind of pizza, and it spread between the southeast of France and the northwest of Italy. Its name comes from the ancient language that was spoken in Nice, in which pisala meant salty fish space. I know things like anchovies and onions are not everyone's favorite, but pissaladière has a very unique taste I can't really compare to anything else. I think it might come from the way the onions are stewed in olive oil for such a long time. This is a dish with personality, but it's weirdly both bland and bold at the same time. And yeah, it's really unique. I think even if you're not sure that you like it, it's always interesting to be curious and to have a bite.
Miriam, you did me dirty on this one. This was so hard to make. I didn't realize, first of all, that I was going to be making my own bread. And then it was topped with canned anchovies, a food that I loathe to love, I guess. The onions smell amazing. The bread is highly questionable. This, let's just try it. The onions are really good. You can taste all of the beautiful herbs that I put in there when I cook them in the oven. I will say, I burned the first batch.
Oh my god, it's like so dark looking.
So I had to do it again. I had to cut all those onions again. So if you're gonna try this, keep your eye on the onions. Now the bread. It's, for all those hours that it spent rising, it doesn't really feel like it has much of a rise. Okay. This bite's gonna have the anchovy. I just don't think you need it. Oh, it's so anchovy-like. Oh my god, look at this. The bread has no structural integrity. It's funny, like the middle of the bread is super soft, and then like the crust, it's really hard. The French, you guys just don't make it easy on us, mere mortals, to try to cook your cuisine. I just find it to be incredibly difficult. Oh, I bit my cheek. Oh my god, it hurts really bad. And now you know, of course, because I've bitten my cheek now, it's going to be swollen, and I will continue to bite it. My final verdict about this dish was, it was a ton of work. The onions were absolutely fantastic, and I will definitely be using the oven trick moving forward. I also learned, though, that I am not a bread baker. It's just not who I am, and that's okay. That's okay.
Hi, my name is Soumya and I'm from Coimbatore in India. The dish I'll be sharing with you today is called Ulli Tiyal and it features baby onions in a tamarind paste sauce. In Malayalam, Ulli means onion and Tiyal means burnt dish because the coconut used in this dish is dry roasted till it's charred. The onions used in Ulli Tiyal are red shallots or baby onions. These are sweeter than regular onions and are a staple in Kerala cuisine. In this dish, the baby onions are sautéed in coconut oil and then allowed to simmer in the gravy. So they end up like little oniony pearls that burst in your mouth. The gravy is tangy from tamarind, spicy from the red chili, and it has a characteristic smoky flavor from the coconut. Tiyal is one of those throw it all in the pot kind of dishes in Kerala. We often add other vegetables like moringa, plantain, and eggplant. There are versions made with fish and meat as well, and it's generally a very well-loved home-style dish. I love this dish because it reminds me of summer vacations at my grandma's house in Kerala. By Indian standards, this dish doesn't use a whole lot of spices. The flavor comes from charred coconut and shallots. It's a simple dish, but the results are deliciously complex. When I make Ulli Tiyal, I'll make a huge batch and put it on everything. Dosa, mashed potatoes, cheese toast, you name it, Ulli Tiyal works with it. I hope you love this dish just as much as I do.
I'm wearing a special shirt for this one. Can you see it says Spice Girl? Because of all the red chilies that went into this dish. I do love South Indian food, but I will say it is a lot spicier than North Indian food. So I'm prepared. I made this? What? Pearl onion. Wow. I can't believe I made this. The onions are so soft. They're like little balloons in like a very positive way. The coconut is just like heavenly. And there's like an element of sweetness from the tamarind and the sugar that you put in it that just kind of like, I mean, Caroline cuisine is just really special. I find like most Indian restaurants, at least in America, serve more like North Indian dishes. So stuff like this I've never ever had. And it's truly, truly incredible. I'm like really into these onions. Come here, onion. Get inside my belly. Am I getting better at eating spicy food, or is this just like not as spicy as I thought it would be? Let's just all agree that I'm getting better at eating spicy food. I think that's the way to do it. If you're not Indian and feeling adventurous to try something outside of your comfort zone, like I really recommend this dish. It was easy enough to make and honestly tastes unlike anything you will have ever been able to have in an Indian restaurant. And so that makes it like extra special. So this, amazing.
So my name is Tom and I live in northern New Jersey, about a half hour outside New York City, depending on traffic. And the onion dish that I'd like to talk to you about today is onion rings, which I'm sure many people have tried and enjoy and love like I do. So onion rings are typically made with white, yellow, or sweet onions. I think the best onion rings come from Sweet Vidalia onions. They have a great flavor. They're not so strong of an onion flavor. They're nice and sweet, and they have big rings that the batter holds onto well when you go to fry them up. Onion rings aren't an exclusively American dish, but they're definitely popular here and kind of ingrained into American cuisine. Recipes have popped up in the early 1900s from what I could find, and they're especially popular at diners, which we are kind of known for and celebrate here in New Jersey. Diners had started out in the late 1800s as mobile food wagons on horse-drawn carts, and they kind of evolved from that, like early fast food, to these prefabricated buildings that you see very often that kind of have that shiny metal train car look on the outside. So a lot of diners will run from late night hours to even into 24 hours. Shout out to my local 24-hour spot, Pompton Queen. Many good memories just out after a late night out with friends, sitting around a table, plate of onion rings in the middle, and just good friends and good laughs all around. They're simple and delicious, and I encourage you to give it a try.
It may or may not be breakfast right now. And I might have decided that now was the time to make onion rings. I love onion rings. These honestly, like, this is one of my favorite food groups. They're perfect. The crunch is so legit. Even though I put this under like a US dish, I definitely feel like onion rings are pretty universal because everybody loves a fried onion. Like, people just fry them in different ways, you know? This is a matter of personal opinion, but I do like the little guys better than like the big ones. I feel like you can never bite an onion ring in half. You just kind of look like a fool. You're kind of like dragging an onion out of your mouth. These, it's just like you pop them in. If you've never had an onion ring before, I highly recommend it. The onion really just acts as a vessel for fried bread. I do want to mention though that diner culture, especially in the East Coast, is very, very much a thing, and it was very much like a part of my childhood too. And I would always get a big plate of onion rings. I also used to always get a turkey club sandwich. That was my diner order. Where I live in Manhattan, there actually are some diners, and it's like very much a vibe. And I don't know how to describe it, but like you'll be sitting next to a couple who's like 100 years old eating dinner at 2 p.m. and like a group of like really young kids like all making TikToks on their phone. And that's what it is.
Hi Beryl, hi guys. My name is Evine and I'm from Berlin, Germany, but my dad is originally from Mardin, which is the Kurdish part of Turkey. The dish that I want to share with you is called onion kebab, soğan kebab in Turkish, and kebab pivaza in Kurdish. It uses mostly small white onions. The dish highlights the versatility of onions. On the one hand, you have the savory flavor of the onion combined with the meaty lamb meatballs and earthy spices. On the other hand, you have the onion that caramelizes and becomes one with the sweetness of the pomegranate molasses. The dish derives from the city of Antep in southeast of modern Turkey. Since it is close to the Syrian border, its inhabitants consist mostly of Kurds and Arabs. And due to the amount of onions used in the recipe, it is considered a winter recipe. In our culture, onions are eaten in winter to boost the immune system. Unfortunately, the dish is seen as too easy to prepare or inferior to other dishes, so that it is not widely available in restaurants. Everybody should try onion kebab because the sweet attributes of the onion are not often combined with meat, especially with lamb meat. It is a simple but different preparation type, and once tried, you won't have it any other way. The last time I had onion kebab, I prepared it for my friends on Bayram or Eid al-Fitr. They came from Malaysia, the US, and Iraq, and me from Germany. And we have all different lives and views, but we could agree that onion kebab tasted amazing. Enjoy!
Okay, this smells amazing and was really simple to make. However, I realized that the onions that I used were just too big, but they were the smallest onions that I could find at the store. Like, I was like digging in the onion bin. I think if I had smaller onions, like, this would have been better, because right now the meat to onion ratio, it's just off. You know, there's too much onion, not enough meat, but that's okay. It's really about the flavor. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Wow. The lamb doesn't have a ton of spices, but it is super flavorful. I feel like because the lamb cooked around the onion, it stayed really, really juicy. I love this though. In America, everything is just kind of like bigger, even the onions. I just couldn't find small onions, unless they were tiny little pearl onions, and those would have been too small. I have pretty much like a whole half onion left and no more meat, so that's where we're messing up. I definitely feel like I don't buy that much ground lamb, and I have been learning through this channel that ground lamb is delicious and you really can't mess it up the way you can mess up chicken or beef. This was simple to make, super juicy, very flavorful, so easy. Just find small onions. The onion episode is done, and it was awesome. I liked taking this one simple ingredient and looking at it in kind of like a more global context. Anyway, thank you to everybody who submitted a video for this episode. It has been such a pleasure learning from all of you, and I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye.